Los Angeles Chargers for a second-round pick. Pretty crazy. Him and Joey Bosa on the same defensive line.
Yeah, to me, a lot of people should have been involved in this. I mean, I would imagine when the information – have you noticed the last couple of days after trades, we've gotten immediate articles on The Athletic kind of like giving us some intel, right? It happened with Russell, and then it happened again with Carson Wentz. I'm be interested in the Khalil Mack thing, how many teams are sniffing around. Now, it's a little risky. You know, remember, he was a fifth-year senior at Buffalo, so he was an older player. It's not like he came in as like a 3-year player from Alabama. And he's had some wear and tear on him, and obviously he missed a bunch of games last year. But I saw when I was filling up my water before we hit record, you know, last year he had 6 sacks in 7 games. And if you watched him, he looked good. And then he obviously had, like you mentioned before we hopped on, it's not like he broke his hand or shattered his elbow. Like, he had a foot injury. And he's a guy that obviously power is a huge part of his game. He's an explosive pass rusher. It's just, you know, I think he's had knee issues in the past. Maybe it was a shoulder a couple years ago, but the foot, you know, there's risk involved when you have to do a second-round pick, right?
Yeah, and he's going to play on turf, which I'm no Cameron Worrell, but you know, it doesn't seem to be, I wouldn't say ideal if you're dealing with a foot injury. Again, I'm no doctor.
You know, Von Miller, remember, had a bad foot injury. Now, he was playing, and when they traded for him, the Rams, he looked pretty damn good for the Rams in that field.
This year, his contract is 17 and a half, actually just over 17 and 3/4, $17.75 million cap hit.
Which 24. Wouldn't you say he's well worth it if he's getting you 15 plus sacks?
Yeah, if he's healthy. That he would get that right now easily, more than that, right, on the open market. 22.9 is next year's number with an 11.6 dead cap, and 23.2 with a $6 million dead cap in 2024. I think maybe 1 year voided after a Spot Track already has him on the Chargers, so maybe a year voided after a trade or something. But
well, there can't be a more expensive pass rushing duo in the NFL right now, right?
And I would say wide variance, to use a little analytic term, John, in what they could be and what they couldn't be, right? Two guys who went on the field are really good, but struggled to consistently be on the field. How many combined 16 or 17 game seasons have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa played in the last 3 years?
Not many. I mean, the thing with Joey is even when Joey's playing, remember, you feel like you watch a Charger game, he comes out of it more than you think.
Well, Khalil played actually full seasons each of the last 2 years before this last season.
Yeah, Khalil had been durable in Chicago. Joey is not, but they both cost a lot. Obviously, Joey got a historic contract, right? He got $100 million plus.
Joey only missed 1 game last year. I played 10, 12 games the year before, 16 before that, 7 before that. Joey had not played back-to-back 16-game seasons, full seasons, put it that way.
But I bet if you look, I mean, most non-quarterbacks and maybe some like guards miss a lot of, you know.
Yeah, but for sure. But Joey has not even had back-to-back, like, let's just say, air quote, full seasons. Like, it's 16. Well, let's even count last year as a full season. 12 before that. 16, 7 before that. 16, 12 before that.
To me, there's a big deal if you can get, with the 17-game schedule, they would sign up right now for 15 games each. But to me, if one guy's 15 and the other guy's 10, then you got a problem. If you can both get in the mid-teens with them, they're going to be a fucking force. I mean, those two guys are – most teams don't have 2 Trent Williams. So it's like one of your tackle is a mark. And even when you do have Trent Williams or, you know, Lane Johnson, a really good tackle, a Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack can still beat that guy. But every team has a weakness, and now you're just going to be relentless with every time those two guys are both playing in the game. It's got a chance to be very forceful. Because the other part about Khalil Mack, they were terrible. Remember how bad statistically the Chargers were against the run? Remember a couple, like down the stretch, they lost that game to Houston where Rex Burkhead looked like Adrian Peterson. Khalil is an elite run player. You know, to me, he just adds some oomph to your team just in terms of physicality. Or not that Bosa's bad, but I mean Khalil's one of the great point of attack run defenders we've ever seen. I mean, he's unstoppable.
It was the first thing he did.
It's just
she said. Remember his rookie year was like, is this guy going to get to the quarterback?
I think he had 4 sacks as a rookie.
Like, why doesn't he get to the quarterback? It's funny. Nick Bosa was like, Nick Bosa always falls down. What's going on? Turned out both guys were pretty good. Crazy that Khalil's only 2 years younger than Von Miller.
What do you mean?
Khalil's only 2 years younger than Von Miller.
Do you think they should be similar age?
No, I feel like Khalil should be younger.
I know. Well, I think Von Miller, like I said, with Khalil, he was like a fifth-year senior at Buffalo, so he came in 23 years old. I think Von showed up 3 years, Texas A&M, to the league at 21, been in the league, it feels like 12 years. How old's Von? 33 years old? What's Khalil?
Khalil just turned 31 in February. Von will be 33 in March.
I'd say the one thing we've talked about, like Russell Wilson, 33 is the new, or 29 is the new 33? Or is
No, you had it right the first time.
Yeah, 33 is the new 29. 31 when you're a defensive lineman is still 30, probably 34. There's a lot of wear and tear on Khalil in the trenches.
Yeah. I mean, Von earned some money this year, especially in the playoffs with the Rams, right? Like, who would you rather have right now, Von Miller, Khalil Mack?
If they're both healthy, I'd rather have Khalil Mack.
I agree. And Von's been, who knows? Maybe Von stays put. Maybe Von goes to the, goes back to Denver.
It feels like, he broke up with Denver, but he wasn't totally over them, and he still wants to go back. Now, at the end of the day, Von's kind of a cowboy. I bet he just really liked living in Denver, right? I mean, it's just a cool place to live. I think he enjoys it.
Probably a great place to play. If you're in shape, you wear down. You probably every, half the year you're wearing down some left tackle or right tackle who doesn't, some guard who doesn't play there all the time.
Well, and to him, like, he's seen the highs of that place. It's probably pretty sweet to be on good Denver Bronco teams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And now there's no reason why now
Russ is there. We're going right back.
The thing is, you're chasing Carr and, Mahomes and Herbert 6 times a year, but
he's chasing, Trey Lance,
Kyler, no longer Deshaun. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. If I'd said to you before, when you texted me today, Khalil Mack got traded, I didn't really think immediately, like, what do I think the value was? Because a first-round pick would have been too rich, given the fact that he's hurt, given the
31.
fact that, and his money. But a second-round pick is pretty, like, a second-round pick's not nothing, right? For the
Vaughn
Chargers.
just went for a second and a third mid-season.
I think that
puts little different mid-season, right?
Prices are higher.
Yeah.
I think this just adds some pressure to Brandon Staley too, right?
Now, Khalil is under contract. Vaughn was not. You could say that's a proper. Like, if you get 3 more years of Khalil Mack on your team, second-round pick's well worth it if 2 of those are really good.
Yeah, if you get 2 full seasons from Khalil Mack or whatever, like when I say full, I think you're right. It's like 15 basically. Let's say you get 15 games. Like, I'd call that a full season.
What if I told you right now the 49ers had just traded their second-round pick for Khalil Mack? What would you say?
I'd say great.
Fuck yeah. What if I told you the Chiefs? Or to me, it's a no-brainer move if you view yourself as a playoff team.
Now, I would also say if you're the Niners, I'd say great. If you said put your $17 million on somebody, I'd say let's put it on a defensive back, because the one thing the Niners do is they do get value out of defensive linemen. Yeah, but I wouldn't complain about Khalil.
But a pass rush always makes DBs look better.
Well, that's what they say, John.
But the Niners pass rush would be dramatically better with Khalil Mack.
It would be, but their pass rush is pretty good, and their secondary still has holes.
Yeah, you need to do both. That's part of having a rookie contract. You should have.
It's part of being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
you got to do all those things. So, I like the try. It's a chance worth taking for the Chargers. What number pick is that?
Well, they didn't miss the playoffs, so it's like in the middle of the round.
So the Bears have 39 and they have 48 in the second round.
But they don't have a first because Fields.
Yeah, that's the 7th pick that the Giants have. So,
I think if you were them, just the likely, on the chance that you have a franchise quarterback, it's well worth it, right? I think if you're a Bears fan, you go, listen, it sucks not having a first, but we got a guy that, we thought was going to be like a top 5 pick, Now it's on the coach to figure it out, but I think they're in a pretty good spot. Like, to have the opportunity to work with a guy, Justin Fields. Now, he's got a long way to go, and his head coach is a defensive guy, but still, you got something. When's the last time they just – it's not since Jay Cutler they just have something. Now, Jay was better. Like, they acquired a guy that was ready to play, and he could immediately. Justin has, like any young quarterback, like, ways to go, but at least you got something to work with. And the other thing that makes it easier, and we talked about this last year, is, like, it is Big Ten country, so you watched Ohio State and you watched how sweet he was. Like, you
Yeah.
do know his upside.
Yeah. By the way, Mack, now Amari Cooper hasn't been traded or cut, and maybe neither will happen, or maybe one of them will happen. Pretty crazy. I mean, the Raiders traded both those guys, and you thought both of them were probably going to a place where they might finish their careers, and Mack is not, and Amari might not.
You would say, though, part of the reason Mack gets traded is because the Bears suck,
Mm-hmm.
and they just need to reset and not having picks. Like, if Mack had been traded, let's say, to the Packers or to the Chiefs or something, right? He's still on the team. Amari's, to me, in a different category than Khalil. And again, like you said, nothing's happened with Amari. Sounded good, but we've seen. It's not like, well, the date, he's 2 days away. No, guys have been getting cut left and right. You see Roger Saffold cut, Bobby Wagner cut. Like, they wanted to cut Amari, they could. They're clearly not in any rush.
No. Well,
I think they're thinking, like, are we sure we want to do this?